Welcome to Country acknowledges our First Peoples, the custodians who continue their stewardship across our vast lands. We invite you to be our guests and make a true connection.
Ya welcome ya, Yawuru.
Aminjika.
Yapalina.
Bro.
Nanga.
Kapmon.
Yaldane Godada Goda.
Welcome to Bart country, guys. You're now in Kuyu Beach or Kuyu. Come on down.
Womanjika.
Chingiwala.
Welcome, guys. My name's Dustin Maloney.
All called to welcome yous.
Natma. Welcome.
Yalada Jongura. Garida. Kubri Bubu. Kuyu.
Koji Eagle.
Natamwa woman Indi.
Hi, I'm Rhoda Roberts, a proud Widgeable woman and a member of the Welcome to Country Board. It is my pleasure to be here today to announce this amazing series of events. The journey begins with Welcome to Country. You can imagine the unexpected. You know, taking a First Nations travel experience is much more than simply just taking a photograph of our ancient landscape. It is about the depth of listening, witnessing the diversity of our cultures, the mystery of rituals, the food, the language, the story and the song. Up until the 8th of December, we're featuring a series of free online events, and we'll give you a sneak preview of 17 life-changing experiences. These are just a taste of what we have on offer. And so now I'm going to hand you over to your next cultural experience with some amazing guides from across the country. Enjoy.
Good again. Bart Pigram. How are you all? My name is Bart Pigram. I'm sitting right on the edge of the mangrove line, as you can see behind me, one of the last trees before we start to hit Dampier Creek. This is my favourite spot in Broome because it does back onto a very, very sacred site just on the foreshore there, a massive hill full of shells, obviously being evident of our ancient presence here in the Broome area. We are on Yawuru and Yugan country. And I've been a tour guide for about 5 years. It's a very, very pleasing industry to be a part of, and really it's basically just giving and sharing my culture to visitors and locals in the Broome area, which gets me practicing every day and becoming really, really familiar with it. Something that will live with me for a very, very long time. So it's a great way to continue on our culture, but also be engaged in the modern industries that we have today. And obviously Broome is a beautiful place to visit. I did start with several tours, but I'm going to be focusing on the Mangrove tour next year, and the Mangrove Discovery experience will get people to truly connect to Broome's marine environment and landscape. It is a low tide tour, and as you can see, we've got the low tide at the moment at the back here, and the rock, the island just over there that you can see, is a lovely spot to get a great view looking back onto the Broome township. It's really enjoyable. It's obviously an adventurous tour because we are amongst wildlife. You can hear a few birds. We'll see lots of crabs, we'll see snakes sometimes, we'll see turtles even sometimes. But it's a wonderful, rich environment with diverse mangroves as well. So we've got many different mangroves here in Broome. At the back of me here is the grey mangrove, and they're the most common mangrove around this area. We call them gundurong, and in our language. So it's a great place to really authentically feel Broome, and it's something that I have to do every day, and I love it. And hopefully people can come and experience that with me on the Mangrove Discovery experience. There is a massive and beautiful, rich history here in Broome as well, So on this tour, I also talk about the first settlement, the first contact area, somewhere around here in Roebuck Bay. And Roebuck Bay was advised to be the next north pearling port, north of Cossack, back in the 1880s, early 1880s. So it's a very, very important part of WA's history, and something to definitely to understand and immerse yourself in when you come to Broome. I am listening to one of these birds. That's the rainbow bee-eater, one of my favourite birds, and they're always visiting me around this area. We call them willen, and it's a beautiful, beautiful tiny little bird that's very, very active and fast, feeding on some of the different insects, usually at about 4:30, 5 o'clock. So we do this tour at 4 till 6 o'clock. So we usually get to see those beautiful little birds, amongst other many birds that feed off the mudflats here of Roebuck Bay. So if you're a keen bird watcher, this is also another way to get out and see some exciting birds in this area. It's a 2-hour walking tour, so it's not that long, but it is it's very, very interesting. Great for kids, great for families to engage with some hands-on stuff as well. We can pick up some harmless crabs. I'll show you which ones not to pick up. But it's a great way to, again, fully immerse yourself in Broome's natural landscape. Why did I get into tourism? I think I got into tourism because I love my culture, I love our language, and again, this is just one way that we can, as Aboriginal people, share our rich culture here. We also have a multicultural history here in Broome. My background is of Filipino, Aboriginal and European, obviously. So there's a lot of family groups like that in Broome, and we are the authentic Broome, if you like, and it is a very embracing community, and with many cultures. There's many different Dreamtime stories that we can talk about from this area as well. We've got Buccaneer Rock that has its story, depicted by my favourite artist, Butcher Joe Nungan. We've got the Dampier Creek story within Two Snakes, and then we've got how our water holes were created along this area. I won't touch too much on those, but this area is very culturally significant as much as historically. If you just pan around here, you can see the mangrove forests, and packed with old grey mangroves. Once upon a time, a lot of these trees were cut down, probably where you find the more smaller ones, and that was due to the pearling industry and the luggers trying to access the foreshore and the pearling camps of the pearling masters. If you pan that way, you'll find that we're coming into the wet season, so you don't want to be doing anything really strenuous in the middle of the day. But you see our clouds building up over to the east there, and they'll be bringing some rain, and we had some good rain here in Broome. It does get stinking hot, but if you do tours 4 to 6 like I do on this mangrove tour, it's a lot more cooler, and you get some beautiful colours of Roebuck Bay in that time, that sunset time as well. Welcome to the Mangrove Discovery Experience. As you can see, it's nice and muddy. This is a beautiful rich mud that's full of life, teeming with life. Worms, crabs, when the tide's in, lots of fish and stingrays love to feed just off the top of the mud, and we've got food sources beneath the mud as well, which we used to come out as kids and hunt and gather a lot of the shellfish that are available. Back over there we've got a beautiful oyster patch. There's also many other places. You can see a lot of birds over there. Pelicans and that would obviously come around into the creek area, but this is the mouth of Dampier Creek, and a wonderful location to discover Broome's natural environment. We're going to head across just around these mangroves and get amongst and get a sense of it, how wonderful and curious it makes people. So we'll follow me over here. So here's an example. We've just walked around a bit. Here's some rocks here and obviously against the mud, and you can find quite easily all the way through this area different types of shellfish. So we could easily take this, make a fire, put it on, and eat the contents within inside it. there's the rumbar, there's the bombshell, and then there's the razor shells, which we can find further down that way. There's just a massive range of food sources around here, and this is also why I love doing this mangrove discovery experiences, because we can also have a taste of some of these food sources, and it's what we've been eating for thousands and thousands of years in this region and other parts of the Roebuck Bay. So that's another reason why you should jump on the mangrove discovery experience. So another thing we can stumble across sometimes on the tour, you may find a mud crab. Now it's not a mud crabbing tour, but as you can see, a nice big claw. It's been broken off and probably had a fight with another crab, or a crocodile's bitten it off, we don't know. But it's pretty fresh. It probably happened last night or this morning. And you can see that another food source, my favourite one actually, but we can also discover mud crabs in certain seasons and if we're really, really, really lucky. Wangaja. Now we're amongst some of the oyster patches here. Pretty rare around this part of the bay, just in here. But I'm just going to show you, because we are in larger or mungala season, transitioning into mungala season. We've already had our rain, so mungala time is now. And this is the time of year, or mostly larger season, that we can get nice milky oysters. Okay. So in our season that is now, we get to find the milky oysters, junga we call them. Not that big, as we can find them much bigger in other places, but still very creamy and fresh, tasty. Junga.
Welcome to Country acknowledges our First Peoples, the custodians who continue their stewardship across our vast lands. We invite you to be our guests and make a true connection. Welcome to Country is a non-profit organisation. It's at the helm of an Aboriginal man and it's run by Aboriginal staff.
All Australians should be passionate about our own country, and Aboriginal culture is a key part of that.
We are the original storytellers, and if everyone understands that message, I think that we'll have a far better future for all of Australia.
It's about learning and connecting.
As we know, it's the oldest living culture in the world.
Simply, it's the premier site to find amazing experiences and great products around Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australia.
Got to have a great website. So what was needed was to have a common platform that could do the marketing, the sales, all those things that small businesses, whether they're Indigenous or not, struggle over. So people can focus on the thing they're passionate about and deliver that business.
It's about creating employment and economic opportunities for the community. That's the number one thing.
The best thing is by purchasing from us, they are directly giving back and supporting Indigenous communities, artists and their families.
The key is to enable them to stay on their country or in their city and be able to give them a platform to really flourish and create self-sufficiency.
It is basically self-determination and learning about country through the narrative of our lens.
We're not doing this because we want to put money into our pockets, but rather we want to see community benefit from what we're doing.
We want to be able to show that we're in control and managing our stories. We want to be able to share those stories, and we want to be able to create our own jobs and create our own economies.
For me and my wife's business, we've got the daughters all working. When we started, we had the brothers involved, I had the aunties involved, I had the uncles involved. Yeah, so we show them what Paraka look like and get them to throw a spear also as well.
We're rich in culture and history, and I said we need to share that because that's where we're going to get changes.
It's a great initiative, really connecting with Indigenous tourism, grassroots people, teaching culture and educating people.
This is a form of livelihood
it's independence, it's self-esteem, and it brings pride.
Now that I'm here working for trips over the last 2 years, I've actually became a master reef guide.
You know, some of us are really reaping the benefits of that in terms of employment, you know, self-empowerment, you know, self-sustainability, economic development in our communities.
It is really time that this country started to embrace the importance, the knowledge, the power and the beauty of Aboriginal culture.
I have always wanted for non-Indigenous people in this country to actually experience, meet and connect with Aboriginal people.
When you visit a destination, you hear that local story, you feel the seasons, you witness the passion that people have on the land that has been there since time immemorial. There's nothing quite like it.
Anytime any Australian's looking for an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander cultural experience, the first thing they'll think of is welcometocountry.com.
To continue your journey and make a true connection right across Australia, visit us